I lost my limb.
Biosecurity chemicals are counterfeit.
In 1 week, we lost 21,000 chicken.
Now, unfortunately, every time you watch news or read a newspaper, there's a story about another nasty accident on any of Uganda's highways. What the different stakeholders, including police, usually tell us is that this could be down to the poor roads or the bad drivers. But the one issue that has not been addressed over the years is counterfeit. Did you know that by buying fake products or fake spare parts for your car, you actually could be in trouble? You could buy fake brakes, you could put in the wrong oil, and still you could end up in an accident. So sometimes it's not just the roads or the drivers. But on this special show, Don't Be Fake, brought to you by the Anti-Counterfeit Network Africa, we now shed more light on road accidents and the motoring world, and probably try and explain what has been happening over the years. Could there be more causes of accidents on our roads today that we don't know about? Which spare parts have you been buying for your car? It's a very busy road that is occupied by everyone, and counterfeit has unfortunately found its space. We must stamp it out as the carnage on the roads increases ever more than before. My name is Kabuura. I have a big panel that includes various stakeholders to talk counterfeit in the motoring world. And I tell you what, that big panel is next. Thank you very much for joining us and welcome to the show. This is Don't Be Fake, as once again we continue talking everything to do with counterfeit. Now, like I will ask Fred to give in his preamble, counterfeit is pretty much in everything. But on the show this time around, we're talking about the motor world, the vehicles out there. They have different parts. Those parts can be counterfeited, and that can, at the end of it, all affect the general running of the car. But let me quickly introduce the panel for you. Mr. Fred Muwema at my extreme left, who is a practicing lawyer, also Director Legal and Corporate Affairs at SCN, that is the Anti-Counterfeit Network. I'll continue. We have a mechanic who has 5 years of experience, Mr. Kasozi Allan from the Kasambia Motor Garage, which is down in Chebando. So thank you very much for joining us as well. And on my right, we have the enforcer, people who are in charge of keeping law and order on our roads, Mr. Ssebabulinde Charles, who is the Assistant Commissioner of Police in charge of enforcement in the Traffic Directorate. Is that right? Thank you very much for joining us, sir. Let me start off with Fred. Sure. Well, the SCN show, the Don't Be Fake show, has gone so many episodes now. And every time I'm walking on the streets, people tell me, but Andrew, you're scaring us because you're talking about everything we consume every single day. We're talking about the motoring world now. But clearly, everything around us has some question marks on it.
Yeah, Andrew, this show is not intended to scare anybody. This show mirrors what is happening in society. So we are not fabricating anything, we're just reporting what is happening in fact. And if you're talking about the motoring world, there are counterfeits at two levels. There is counterfeit in the machine itself, the motor vehicle itself. It could be defective. You could put fake tires, you could put fake accessories or usables like fuel or spare parts. So there's that element. Then there is the element of the service provider, the person managing the either transport service, if you're a lorry driver without a driving permit, if you are a bus driver without a driving permit, if you are Kabuura without a driving permit, you are also contributing to the counterfeit story in the motoring world. So it's those two levels that actually account for the biggest negative consequences that we have of counterfeiting that is leading to fatalities and injuries that we do see every year in Uganda and across the world.
Mr. Ssebabulinde, I want to quickly come to you. we read papers, like I said in my intro, we watch television, and we see so many accident stories. Like you've told us, we have accidents on Masaka Road, we have accidents on Jinja Road, even Gulu Road as well. What is your analysis as the police? Is it down to poor drivers? Is it down to bad roads? Or does counterfeit have a major say in that?
Oh, thank you very much. Actually, in Uganda Police, mainly when we come to road safety, we always talk about the 3 E's. That's education, engineering, then the enforcement. We do the enforcement, the engineering, of course, we talk about the road designs and what, the education, then we talk about the person driving. Is he trained to do that? Has he gone to the right school? But when you make, of course, an analysis, we get several accidents involving even what we would call new cars. Of course, not new cars, but when you look at the cars, they are still in good mechanical conditions. Always after any accident, the IOV or inspector of vehicle checks the vehicle and tells you, actually, before the accident, the vehicle was in a good mechanical condition. So our analysis, normally on the face value, you always say, no, maybe it was a reckless driving. Actually, the account of counterfeit might come in. Why? Because really you look at the car, you look at the road surface was fine. The man perhaps was not going at the terrific speed, because when you look at, there were no skid marks, and all of a sudden you find the vehicle went off road. That's perhaps what we done. Maybe the man dozed off, or you heard of the incidents, people were talking of ghosts on Massacre Road, perhaps, which I can't authoritatively say, perhaps the counterfeit comes in and says, actually, maybe it contributes a big part when it comes to accidents we get on our roads in Uganda.
So, Fred, you can hear there is a very big religious angle.
No, I want to know if the police, how many ghosts it has arrested that cause counterfeits.
Well, of course, we have some pastors in the police force as well.
Definitely. You see, when we had a lot of accidents on Massacre Road, you remember you had the story. People are saying, oh, no, let's go and pray for the people. Oh, come and pray the roads. Then deep in my heart, I said, no, I think people are losing confidence in us. What we should do is actually, when we are on road, we make sure that when we are going down there, the people who might be prayed for perhaps are the people who are doing the enforcement. But when we start attributing prayers to the machines and to the roads, then there is a problem. But when we went down there and did what we did, I think there has been some change. But however, we can't rule out some of the counterfeits. For example, if a vehicle, definitely, as somebody is driving, if there is, the lubricants, the tires, any of those malfunctions at perhaps relatively 80 kilometers per hour, abrupt braking or abrupt stoppage, an accident. Leave that alone. Secondly, moving at night. Actually, many of the fatalities we get on these roads, a big truck having been moving late in the night suddenly breaks down, and unfortunately another commuter taxi or another person is following. And definitely you can't avoid that crash. What we normally crashing into a stationary truck which is bigger than, definitely such an accident or such a crash, all the people moving in these coming vehicles are going to perish. So that when we get such, definitely the fatalities go high, and we get several.
I want to come back to you, Officer, very shortly. But I want to come now to Kasozi Allan. I've talked about 5 years of experience. So you've been in the industry for quite a while.
Yes,
I have a problem. All my friends, not all, some of my friends, tell me I'd rather go to that garage because it's cheaper. Others will tell me that garage produced results last time. What is the attitude of folks who come to the garage usually in terms of prices? And what do you guys usually do? Because I have brake pads at this price, I have brake pads at this price. The prices are quite different. They are all brake pads. They are from the same manufacturer. What is happening in Uganda's garages?
What is happening in Uganda's garages? This is what happens. Now, there are different parts that are imported in Uganda, and we have genuine parts, and we have those fake parts. Now what happens, a client will come to you and will ask you for the price of brake pads. You tell him the price.
Just give me a price.
Actually, to estimate, a price will be something like 250. Like brake pads for a Harrier, 250,000. Now, he will still tell you that someone told me that brake pads can go lower than that. Now, you will still have to look for the brake that goes to what? To 180 or 150. But not genuine as the part that is going to be bought at 250. What happens is that this client will go in for that less priced, and you find that those are the parts that won't work well.
Yes. But the question I would rather ask you though, we've just given brake pads here, and I think everyone who is going to a garage, you really know the difference between 250 and 180. But what other parts are mainly faked in this industry?
There are so many parts that affect in the industry, because you find that when you go to those shops that are selling those brand new parts, there are the shops that are selling fake parts. And since those people know that we will buy their price at a low price, they do parts that will fit our prices. You find that everything will be there. Propeller shafts, you will find discs. Those are discs on which brake pads grip. Now, if you buy a fake disc, that means that a car will stop anywhere. It will suddenly stop. You will just find
to stop.
It will. No. Actually, when you buy a fake disc, this comes in when it will happen that it will just grip the brakes, and then you find the car rolling, overturning.
What about cars which fail to stop when you brake? What's happening with the brakes?
Those are the brakes. They are using fake material. That material is supposed to be grabbed on the disc, but when it is fake, it won't grab the disc for the car to stop. You find that even the tubes that are supposed to be, it uses an hydraulic press. Even those tubes which are fake, you find that a tube will just burst. Even though you're having good brake pads, if a fake tube bursts, you find that the car won't be in position to stop.
I'll come back to you very shortly, because I want us to have a bigger insight on what actually is happening. But I want to, before I go for that quick break, I want to go on with Fred, and we talk the legal side now here, Fred. I know we don't manufacture cars here in Uganda. So we import almost everything. Is that the problem? Is that where the fakes come into the market, or is it an issue of the regulators not looking at these issues and taking them serious, so everything can come in, and there are some of the accidents?
You see, Andrew, we don't manufacture cars in Uganda, but we have the highest rate of accidents in East Africa, and yet Kenya, Rwanda, and Tanzania do not manufacture cars as well. We lose approximately 10 people every day. As we speak here, people are dying on the road, 10 every day. That is an average of 300, maybe 350 every month. That's an average of, you can do the numbers every year. And this costs us too much. We lose about 4 trillion shillings every year, according to a report by the Economic Commission of Africa for this year. Now, we don't manufacture cars in Uganda, so do many African countries and many other countries in the world do not manufacture cars. Only Morocco and South Africa do manufacture some cars. But the problem has been caused by the removal of mandatory inspection of vehicles. For the last 20 years, we do not have mandatory inspection to check the roadworthiness of motor vehicles. And this is where the problem is. You've heard of the SGS contract to inspect vehicles, which the policymakers, the MPs, have been fighting, and everybody, maybe for a good reason, because of the charges for inspection and checking of the vehicles. But you must have, under the Traffic and Road Safety Act, there are regulations that the Minister of Transport has issued. They require you, Mr. Kabuura, to take your car every year for inspection to get a certificate of roadworthiness. The same regulations require every commercial vehicle to be inspected every 6 months. The same regulations require every vehicle involved in an accident to be inspected every 6 months. The aim here is to check that the car is suitable or not to be on the road. Now, the many accidents that we are having, the many lives we are losing, more than 3,000, 4,000 lives every year in Uganda, are a result of the removal of the mandatory inspection. So I think those in government, those in positions of responsibility, even my friend here from the police, can you go back and we have this mandatory inspection. Let the charges be lower, but can we have it as one of the measures to reduce fatalities on the road?
Look, we're not saying every accident on the road is caused by fake parts or counterfeits. Because like we've talked, like a policeman has said, there's drivers in there, there's poor roads. But the truth of the matter is there's a very big number that is caused by the counterfeit that we actually are buying from most of these garages or most of these shops. So we also need to watch out where we are going to buy these spare parts. We need to watch out for who our mechanics are. And more importantly, we need not to be so price sensitive when it comes down to repairing our cars. But I want us to jump deeper into that, what the police is doing, what the garages are doing. I will try and get some advice from my good garage friend here. Also, Fred will try and tell us what the law says, the best way to move forward. Because one of my bigger problems, Fred, is I feel there's some laxity in implementation of some of these regulations. And I'm happy the police officer is here. So shall discuss that on Don't Be Fake when we come back.
I lost my limb.
Biosecurity chemicals are counterfeit.
In 1 week, we lost 21,000 chicken.
Welcome back. You're still watching Don't Be Fake, a program proudly brought to you by the Anti-Counterfeit Network Africa, which of course is an organization that has made sure they step up, take the first step in fighting counterfeit, which by the way is a very big scourge that is going on at the moment. Not so many people seem to be paying that much attention to it, but I tell you what, it is in everything we do every single day. So if we are to be wealthy and healthy, we better pay more attention to counterfeit. Now on the special program tonight, we are talking the motor world, and we're talking about how much counterfeit is in the motor world. Before we go any far, take a look.
Bodda njivugidde emyaka nga 6. Wali lunaku lumu nga nkiira ngenda kukola. Nsooka kukola service. Nakola service ku makya, ngenda mu town kukola. Nfuna omusaabazi nga tugenda. Kati bwe nagenda okusiba, nga moke ndi mu maaso, kati brake ne zigaana okusiba. Zagaana okusiba, nentomera motoka. Nagitomera, ne tugwa wansi n'omusaabazi. Kale omusaabazi ye teyakosebwa nnyo. Nze yakosebwa nnyo ekigere ky'omu maaso kino. N'essaawa zino wenjogerera sinateerera bulungi. Era ne piki nkyagivugirawo lwa mbeera ya waka. Emabega kaawo nga sinaba kugwa accident. Mbadde ngenkerako mu tawuni, nenkolayo emitwalo gyange nga 2.3 nena mbadde njikola. Naye kati engeri gye nafunamu accident sikyakeera. Nyinza ogendayo essaawa nga 2.5. Nenvugavugayo kale bwe nfunayo ez'okulya. Wa mutwalo oba mugumu kitundu, nenfunayo ku ddagala eryenkozesa n'abantu ewaka bafuna ekyokulya. Era n'okusituka n'omugo gwange guno nentuuka mu parking nezijjayo piki era baginsambira busambizi tukusobola kusamba. Ati brakes zino ze bazinguza siringi 6. Naye enamu bangamba za gumu 2. Ate bw'ogenda okuziraba nga si brakes ziri awo, bintu bigenda ne bivaako bwokyanjo kye biri awo kati biringa ebibokya. Kati nekira bino si kyuma bumba. Kati bw'ogenda okugeraageranya eno n'oligino yino yennyini erabikira ddala nga kyuma kyennyini. Ne size si ze zimu ndowooza muziraba, eno ntini eno ngazi bulungi. Kati mbadde nkubiriza baboda bannange bagezeeko kale okugula ebintu ebiri origino so nga basobola okukuuma obulamu bwabwe bulungi. UNBS batuyambe okukebera bulungi ebintu ebyo so nga batuguze ebintu ebiramu bulungi.
Well, there you go. Quite a sad story. We see border borders every single day on Ugandan streets, especially here in Kampala. Actually, most of the car drivers are suggesting there are so many and they don't seem to be having that much control. I've driven in Kampala so many times. They don't respect the traffic lights and they overtake from the left. And we're lucky to have you here, Mr. Ssebabulinde Charles, who is of course with the Traffic Directorate as well, with the enforcement. The border issue. It's a tricky issue. You've driven around. How unruly are borders? And by the way, how much of trouble are they causing in town in your personal view?
Actually, border riders, I would say not border borders, but motorcycle riders a menace in town. If you have been around town these days, you have seen the concerted effort we are having. You have seen the operations we are having targeting motorcycle riders. First of all, we have been telling them, and I want to tell viewers that a motorcycle under the Traffic and Road Safety Act is categorized as a vehicle. It is a vehicle, and when you are riding a motorcycle, it's a motorized vehicle with the 2 tires or with the 2 wheels, and it complies, it drives in the driveway like any other vehicle. And when it comes to traffic lights, somebody driving, or I mean riding, and when it comes to even getting a driving permit, it's one driving permit. It's only classes. A motorcycle rider gets class A, then my car class B, CM, go ahead. So it's it's classified as a vehicle, and you must follow traffic and regulations as any other motorist on road. So why are they a menace on road? It's because some of them think that because we have a lot of traffic jam in Kampala, they can do whatever they do, they overtake on the left. In Uganda, according to our traffic laws, every overtaking, it must be on the right.
Yeah.
And traffic lights, every person stops, including pedestrians, and you observe the traffic lights: green, go, red, stop. And that's why the operations we're having in Kampala now, border riders, we impound a border rider or a motorcycle rider who does not respect traffic lights, who overtakes on the left instead of on the right, who does not respect the one-way, and who does pillion riding. If a motorcycle, you must carry not more than 1 passenger on the motorcycle. Immediately, the rider, if you take more than 1 person, then you are supposed to be charged.
But Mr. Ssebabulinde, this is happening. Eh? I know where you're coming from, and I understand the law and the police trying to battle this. But I tell you what, this is happening every day at some of Uganda's most popular, traffic jam areas. It's a mess.
It is happening right in front of the traffic police officers at the junctions and at the traffic lights. And the police officers, traffic police officers, do not arrest these chaps who just...
Because how many are there? Because sometimes you go like to a Ginger Road and you find there's 2 or 3. So if 10 motorcycles go through...
But no effort is made to apprehend them.
Yeah, I appreciate what you're saying. First of all, let's make an analysis. Border riders get many passengers during traffic jam. Morning hours, evening hours. That's the time when many of our traffic officers in those junctions are occupied with the regulation of traffic. So at that particular time, they also get a leeway and they do away, they don't respect the traffic. But right now, we have come up with a squad within Kampala. We have even an arresting van. If you have seen that Toyota Land Cruiser, it has a cell. It's parked somewhere. We have officers specifically meant to check on those who violate traffic rules and regulations amongst the 3 I've talked about. And we ensure that, first of all, let them know that they are motorists like any other. They should follow traffic rules and regulations. And again, my appeal to the public, actually, the people who are carried by these motorcycles, you see them seated comfortably, being driven over pavements, keeping right.
They should complain as well.
They don't, and actually they are bad. They are bad, please, I want to beat up time. Go pass it. And you see somebody comfortably seated. You visit Mulago and you see, actually, the biggest victims of motorcycle or borders are not riders themselves, but they are passengers.
I want to come back to that very shortly. I mean, if you watch the video we just showed you, the rider is talking about counterfeit parts that could have been in his border. But also now we do understand the border riders have counterfeit behavior. So there are so many ways to look at the counterfeit issue on the motoring world. I want to come back to you, Kasozi, before I cross over to Council. There are actually more border garages in town
Yes.
than car garages, because everywhere you turn, someone is repairing a border in there. How big is the problem? Are there spare parts even easier to fake?
There are so many garages in town for borders. That means that there is a very big demand for those spare parts. And a border guy is not going to get a puncture in one day here, and then goes to the company to buy the spare parts. He will just turn off a nearest garage to work on his border. That doesn't mean that his border is perfectly worked on. He will just get anything from there because it is even cheap, and then moves on. That is where that is why these people come in and buy fake those fake.
But how come we have so many cases of, we've seen videos on social media of cars catching fire, we've seen videos of cars failing to stop, in the morning we all have cases where your car refuses to start. How much counterfeit do we have?
No, this is what happens. We're having so many different types of mechanics in the workshop. You find that these people who are doing carburation system cars are still in the garages working on the cars. These are the people who don't do research. But when you go in and do research on those highly improved technology cars, you will find that they're even having airbags, they are even having different types of things in the technology is highly improved. Now you will find that a person who is operating a carburation will still have to come into that highly improved technology. And the person will start looping wires in the cars. Those wires which are looping, they spark inside there. You find that if someone is to crank in the jam, a petrol engine car, it will definitely spark.
Catch fire.
It will catch fire.
To that detail from the mechanic, the question I should ask you is, who is your mechanic? And how often do you supervise your mechanic? And how much do you trust your mechanic? But I quickly come to the council here. I think we should first clear it that we are manufacturing cars here in Uganda now. But as we clear that, we should also talk about the number of recalls we've seen online and in Uganda, and what these recalls actually mean.
Okay, maybe before I go to that, I need to emphasize here that for anybody to operate a garage to repair a motor vehicle, including borders, you must have a license. And I'm sure you have a license. But
yes, we do have a license.
I do not know how many garage operators actually have licenses. The purpose of licensing is to ensure that the premises are suitable, the person has got the qualification, the tools are there, not fixing, tying up wires and you know. So that's one. And the ministry and the police need to check on the garages to see if they are complying. Yeah, the issue of car manufacture, the reason we did not mention Uganda as a manufacturer, because we've not started commercial production of motor vehicles. Kira is mainly seen in the newspapers and sometimes on TV. I don't know if anybody here has driven the Kira car,
I have,
but it's a good step.
Just for a few.
There are also, of course, other countries which do some manufacture. Maybe the one I forgot to mention is Nigeria. They have some manufacture there, and Tunisia. But the big boys in Africa really is South Africa and mainly South Africa and Morocco. So the issue of the issue that of the recall, yes, you have had several times on the TV. Everybody has seen they have recalled Volkswagen, Toyota because of a defect here and there, and you don't get recalls here being done. So the problem there is that firstly, we do not have a consumer protection law here. So that makes the situation worse. In other countries like South Africa, they have a strong consumer protection law. So when there's a recall of Toyota manufactured in Thailand, they will also recall it in South Africa. But for me, I think that does not absolve the car manufacturer from taking responsibility of ensuring that if there is a problem with the Toyota Rawum, which is very popular with Ugandans here, or a Toyota Harrier, if there's a defect in the brakes or the airbags, the information should also trickle down to us here. And if they are compensating the Europeans, Asians, and Americans for defective Toyota Harrier, I think they should also, there must be a mechanism. It does not matter, in my view, even if this car is second-hand, because at the end of the day, the manufacturer is still has product liability for the product. They declare and warrant that the seat belt will work, that the car will not catch fire, that the car is safe for human use. So that safety continues down even to the life of the car as a second-hand car.
I want you to give me your comment on this, but I want to start off with the traffic officer here, Mr. Ssebabulinde. What really scares me, and sometimes what gets me worried, is every time a traffic officer stops you, is they check your tires. Every time they check your tires. But do we sometimes realize that the tire could look new, but actually fake? Meaning, even if the tire looks new, I could still fail to brake, I could still skid off the road, I could still be in an accident. What is the traffic police and police in general doing? Because we have so many of these shops that are selling these fake tires, but then it only stops on us, the customers. Are you guys going all out to find these counterfeiters?
Thank you very much. Actually, with tires, when the first thing a traffic officer actually, when he stops you, he'll just move around. The first thing we look at the tires. Okay, we look at the grips. Are they still on? Definitely, we must go an extra mile. First of all, a tire can expire before it goes on road. Once a tire is expired and you put it on road, then you are as if you are using a bad tire. Secondly, is it, when you look at its weight, the weight it's supposed to carry and the tonnage of the vehicle, are they carrying, then the rim and whatever. But how? It's not traffic police as such, but Uganda police. I remember some time back, there were some operations which were conducted, of course, led by other sister agencies. We normally give a helping hand to National Bureau of Standards. Yes. And they move around, collect these counterfeits things, and then get the battle. Of course, the industry is big. It's not somebody else can talk about that, but I know we have efforts to look at that, and we have also some inspections, our IOV. Whenever we suspect that this vehicle may not be in good mechanical condition, we pull it off the road, and we contact our IOV, that's the inspector of vehicles, and checks it more than what the human eye can see. Yes. And all these measures are in place to ensure that our Ugandan people are actually safe on the road.
I want to ask the same question, but I'll start off with Kasozi. Nsonga emipira. Mutiteramu tubes which are bad tubes, or you repair them badly. What is the tire condition at the garages?
The tire condition at the garage, there are so many suppliers of tires, and good tires are ever expensive. And there are those tires that he talked about expiry. Now, when you find that a client at times won't let you buy the tire because he knows where the tire is is bought. Now the problem is, he will come with the tire, just ask you to
repair it,
to fix it on the car.
That from the store?
From the store, and then brings it to you to fix it on the tire. Actually, we don't also have those, as he said, you can't look at it physically and you just tell that this tire is good. But we know there are dealers who deal good tires, and there are those who deal those other tires and cheaply.
Fred, just to conclude, I want us to go for a quick break. Two issues will come up. Again, we are too price sensitive, which is affecting us. Because if you listen to Kasozi, most of his arguments have been, we have the genuine parts. People want the cheaper parts. But more interestingly, do we have a law on tires? If there is anything like a law on tires anyway?
Yes, we have a law on importation of tires. It's the External Trade Act, but it's a very old law of 1953. It gives the Minister of Trade the power to license as many people as he wishes to import tires. And that's where the problem is. Because you will have... we did an operation one time on tires, and you find somebody has imported fake tires, and when you try to get them, they flash the minister's license. So the minister is authorizing importation of tires without taking the care to verify that, for example, the brand that this person wishes to import will not be infringing another brand, without cross-checking with the other authorities to see that standards will be complied with and so on. So there's a gap there. We have so many importers. If you notice, in the last 20 years, so many dealers in tires have mushroomed. When we were growing up, tires were either found at Dunlop or those other places. But now you have 50 dealers. So that is a chance for the penetration of the fakes there.
Oh, there you go. A couple of big moments when it comes down to traffic and the road update. We have so many fake products that we are using on our cars every single day. So what we are going to do is take a quick breather. When we come back though, I task the gentleman on the panel to give me a way forward, because we use roads every day. And see, you must not own the car. This is why you really need to pay attention. You must not be owning a car or driving the car. You may just be a pedestrian, but this still comes down to you, because when there are accidents, you still get affected. Do not be fake when we come back from the break.
I lost my limb.
Biosecurity chemicals are counterfeit.
In 1 week, we lost 21,000 chicken.
Welcome back. It's the third and final segment of the Don't Be Fake episode tonight, as we discuss everything to do with the motor world. There's so much counterfeit on the motor world that is affecting our lives, how we drive on these roads, and so many accidents are being caused every single day. But you know what we do? We actually go out and blame the drivers all the time, and blame the roads all the time, and we forget our cars are not in perfect condition. So one of the things we need to do is make sure you pick out the right garage, pick out the best mechanic, and take off time. Go and know how your car has been repaired. But as we try and find a way forward, I want to start off with Council Muwema here. The effectiveness of the law in curbing this counterfeit behavior on the road. What would you have to say? How good is it, and is it effective anyway?
Well, I think the traffic police should stop concentrating on the Traffic and Road Safety Act in cases where there is careless driving, reckless driving that causes death. I know that the Traffic and Road Safety Act in section 109 gives a punishment of 2 to 3 years if somebody is reckless and causes death. Can you imagine that? Or a fine of 1 to 3 million shillings. That is so small. Now, my view is that somebody who is reckless and causes injury or death, now for the case of death of somebody on the road, that person should be charged with murder, because this is a murder. So could traffic police start arraigning these guys before the court? A bus driver who has killed 20 people and so on should be charged with murder. I think that way we may be able to stop, in a way, the increase of carelessness and killings that we're having on the roads. The other thing is, as a way forward, the drivers, the passengers, the users of these roads and the drivers of motor vehicles should change their mindset. Cheap is expensive. If you are going to prefer fake brake pads so that as you're on Masaka Road, you cannot brake when you see a truck all of a sudden in front, the price you pay is, you're paying the price with your life. You're paying the price for those brake pads with your life. We are losing 3,000, 4,000 people every year. People are dying every year in this country. And you, the viewer, are losing. You've lost, I'm sure this year or last year, you lost somebody. And it was a painful experience. So why do we not learn from this experience and get genuine parts for our cars? Because we love our lives, we love our relatives, we love our family. We don't need anybody to be dying because of unavoidable death. So the accessories, the inputs we use, and the condition of the vehicles is in our interest. And I'm thinking government should reintroduce the mandatory inspection of vehicles. We have so many DMCs and so many fake cars on the roads. You have, can you imagine, you have sometimes on a highway, a truck smoking. I don't know what fuel it would have taken. It is smoking and you can not overtake, you cannot see, but it's on the truck and it will pass traffic officers and so on. Why should this truck be on the road? Many accidents are being caused this way. So my way forward is more regulation, more enforcement, but more awareness for us, the drivers, the passengers of these vehicles. I'll
give the officer the final word. So I'll start off with Kasozi. Please give some advice to the motor owners out there, because you represent all the mechanics we visit now every time we have a problem with our cars. But also start off with the oils we put in our cars. They're also cheaper ones, they're more expensive ones. People think once it's oil, it's oil.
So what happens is that there are expensive oils and there are cheaper oils. But since I told you that we are different types of mechanics, now you will find that a mechanic and a client too will think that an expensive oil is better for his car. And yet you're supposed to go by years. You find that a car that was manufactured in 1989 is brought to Uganda and it is in a good condition. Someone will think that since it has a new number, it has to be using this expensive oil. That is a car that is supposed to be using a low-priced what? Oil.
That which is genuine.
Which is genuine. Okay. Which is genuine. This time, the oils, it is the mechanics who are not using the right oils. And there are different people who are selling those oils. Those oils, the good thing is to go to the genuine what?
Main dealers.
To the main dealers. If it is Total, you go to Total. If it is Shell, you go to Total. But going to these small Shell. If it is these small shops, the retailers, those people are the people who are mixing the oil and selling it to the what? To the clients at a cheap price, but faking it.
What is your final advice? What's your final advice?
My final advice, in most cases, clients come to the workshop and you tell them prices of what? Different types of parts. You will hear a client telling you that that part is expensive, which is not even expensive in which is not even in reality. It is not expensive. Someone will go for a cheap price and paying for it when he's on the road,
and come back to the garage.
And you will find that those parts will be expensive in a long run. So if a client is to buy good parts, go in for those expensive parts.
All right, there you go, Afande. It's no longer a rumor. It's not an allegation. The truth of the matter is we have fakes on the market. That's a fact. The other fact is there are people who are bringing in these fakes on the market. You might be in traffic, but of course it's enforcement as well. What is the Uganda police now doing to make sure we don't just advise and create awareness to the drivers out there, but also we follow up on these people who are bringing fake parts and selling them to us and getting us in trouble? What is the Uganda police? Where is the follow-up in there in terms of your final word?
Definitely, as I told you earlier, we had some operations. What we are going to do, we are going to continue teaming up with the respective departments and ministries to ensure that we crack down on these fake products on the market. But however, as a traffic officer, I must appeal first of all to the passengers. You handle borders, taxis, buses. If those three industries are handled, actually you have reduced the carnage on Ugandan roads perhaps by 80%. First of all, to the owners and drivers of these vehicles, make sure, as they have arranged, know the right products, know the right lubricants, know the right fuels. Then to the passengers themselves, speak up. You have heard for yourself, we have fake products on the market. People want to buy cheap things to save, fake brakes, fake tires, fake drums, as he said. Control the speed of your driver. For if you're on a motorcycle, know anytime it can fail to brake. And the passengers, many times, because you are innocent, you are not aware of what is happening. You are going to be
the first to die.
Exactly, the first to die. You be driven, or you are on a motorcycle, control that person who is riding you. If you are in a taxi, make sure that if he's overspeeding, he reduces speed. If you are in a bus, don't just be passive passengers. You, the bosses, it's your right to control the bus driver. Because many times it's only the passengers who die, but the drivers always survive because they get...
Oh, by the way, two final things very quickly. Were there crime preventers that were also put in the traffic police section? And there's a rumor going around town that they are planning to introduce the Chiboko squad in traffic. Is that...
No, that's not true. However, in our enforcement, Yeah, the crime preventers we have in traffic, we have them as informers. You see, you can tell us that there is such and such, and we normally use them. We see we had a problem where some of the traffic officers on road were picking kitu kidogo. So we had informers, and we have done a lot in that side. But however, what as traffic we are doing, we are going to start having any traffic deployment somewhere. We are going to team up with other uniformed police officers who are armed to enforce, because we have seen some actually traffic itself can also go ahead to help us. When we stop traffic, when we stop other vehicles, we have robbers moving around. We have even now we have kidnaps, many on the road. So we must have an armed person nearby to ensure that in case you don't comply, we can force you to comply, which has not been the case before.
Mr. Ssebabulinde Charles, Assistant Commissioner of Police in charge of enforcement in the Traffic Directorate, thank you very much. Thank you very much for coming. Mr. Kasozi Allan, who is of course a mechanic, thank you very much as well. We hope to come to your garage next time, like you've always done. Give us good spare parts so we are safe on those very roads. Fred Muwema, the did I say acting? I was really demoting you on this show this evening. A practicing lawyer, and also Director of Legal and Corporate Affairs, SCN. Thank you very much for joining us. The big question really stays. The big question really stays. We all use roads, whether you're a driver, whether you're a rider, whether you're a passenger. Who is your mechanic? And do you always go to your mechanic to supervise a thing or two about how your car will be repaired? If you don't, you've heard about the trouble, you've heard about the problems. Fake parts are going to be put in your car, and the result of that could be an accident. So don't be fake, buy, sell genuine.